Anybody else?
I've got one. I've got 34 happy bucks to celebrate Chris Feaster's 34th birthday. I know he's hiding back there and he's just got his camera off, but happy birthday to Chris. We're excited to go camping this weekend to celebrate.
Birthday, Chris.
Hopefully it doesn't rain, Jennifer.
It's not going to. Don't jinx it, John.
Thank you.
Oh, was that Chris?
It was Chris. He's there.
Hi, Chris. Like the
Hello,
picture
John.
of you in your airplane.
Thanks.
All right, I think that's your head there, isn't it? Well, no more happy bucks. We'll go into our program and can you introduce our speaker?
Well, our speaker is Rebecca Giliam, who began service as the executive director of the Wayne County Foundation in January. Rebecca is known to at least some of you. She grew up in Richmond and attended Indiana University, where she studied biology. Rebecca then worked for a year and then got a master's degree in education, in environmental education, from the University of Minnesota at Duluth. She began working with museums in Indianapolis at the Children's Museum, where she was an environmental educator and manager of the Ritchie Woods Environmental Education Center. Before coming back to Richmond, she served the Muncie and Delaware County community for 15 years as vice president for visitor experiences at the Minnetrista Center, leading a team of professionals that created dynamic experiences for the whole East Central Indiana region. I've worked with Rebecca pretty closely because I've been involved not just with the foundation, but with Forward Wayne County. And I'm just grateful. She's been a real gift. And not only has a tremendous vision for service and the way foundations can help, but she brings a kind of deep understanding of the Wayne County community, allied with extensive experience elsewhere, so that we're all the time learning things that she's learned from her experience in previous positions. So it's a great pleasure to introduce Rebecca Giliam.
Thank you, Lynn. That was very kind. And thank you for inviting me to share a little bit about the foundation and the work we're doing and kind of some of the directions that we have been headed, especially in this very unusual and really unsettling and frustrating time for many individuals and organizations across the community. My first question is, can everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and does it, and it did advance. My screen is a little strange. I haven't seen it this way, so I just want to make sure that you all are seeing. So I do not come from a community foundation background. I have, of course, worked with community foundations over the course of my career, but Indiana is an amazing place for community foundations, very generous state, as well as being home of the Lilly Endowment and several other large family foundations that have really helped to shape the philanthropic landscape. So one of the more interesting things as I've been digging in and really rooting myself in the history of community foundations is the very first one was established just right next door to us in Cleveland, Ohio. And then really rapidly they took off, and then you saw throughout the Midwest a real boom in the establishment of foundations and the work that they started doing in advancing the philanthropic landscape and also the support of many, many charitable organizations. And what's really neat is that community foundations have this really unique ability to be very rooted in their communities. That's the whole purpose, is for there to be this partnership with the public, with charities, with individuals within a specific area, so that we're able to impact change, support those things that are really important to us as a community. So where are we going? And some of the reasons, as Steve, during his retirement and then the transition to me, our board was really looking at how we are going to be positioned for the future. And a lot of that is about the role of community foundations and the emphasis on community leadership. We really are called upon to be, we're here in perpetuity. Individuals give gifts with the expectation that those gifts are stewarded and grants are made, but we are called on to really understand our community, know what the community needs are, convene groups to dig into those big topics and big issues that are holding our community back, or find ways to open doors to really tackle those issues. So our foundation is locally governed, and it is really designed to support the unique needs right here in Wayne County. And I will emphasize, when I say locally, that is countywide. We are here to serve the entire county, not just Richmond, and we do seek input and folks that represent the different towns and needs across all of Wayne County. So just a couple of other interesting facts. There are over 800 community foundations across the United States. In Indiana, I mentioned that it's really unique. There are 94 community foundations in Indiana. So nearly every, you see those in nearly every county or combination of, or there's a few that represent a broader region. And then I'm still waiting on the 2019 data to come out at the state level, but as of in 2018, community foundations in Indiana awarded nearly $216 million in grants, and that is from unrestricted grant making, so gifts that donors have given that can be used for areas of greatest need, and donor advised funds. And those are the funds that individuals set up and then provide guidance on where those gifts are distributed back into the community. So I talked a little bit about this, but this is the reason I love the work of the foundation, and one of the reasons I'm very excited to be a part of the Wayne County Foundation is that it is leveraging private giving and bringing that together with the needs of the community. So we're called on to really help individuals find things that matter to them and the community, and really help them take those philanthropic dollars and do good with them. Many of you have given to the foundation, and you have entrusted us with those gifts, and we are called on to really make sure that we are using them in the best interest of the community and the donors' request. We award grants and scholarships annually, and then we really we should be always looking back into the community to see what the needs are and engaging with others across the community to make sure that we are addressing the area of greatest need. So this is just the basics. So most of you probably already know this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't just go over the basics. This is the sort of the type of gifts that we receive. They are, it's funny, I have worked with most of these in past jobs, but I always joke that I have never accepted a transfer of grain or livestock, although as a foundation we have. So one of my board members asked me if I've ever received any livestock in my office, and I said, oh heavens no, not yet, but you know, there's always tomorrow. So we'll see what kind of gifts families in our community might have. And this, I think, actually is really important. One size doesn't fit all. We have a variety of ways that we establish funds so that gifts and grants can be given back out into the community. So some individuals have fields of interest. Some want to be much more involved in advising on how funds are distributed. Others really like to fund further education, and those are scholarships, the scholarship funds that they're able to establish. And then some want their philanthropic dollars to be used for the greatest need in that calendar year. So they're unrestricted. And then that way, when we get grant proposals in, we can evaluate all of those, and those unrestricted dollars are what fund most of those grant requests. All right, so this is getting down to a little more nitty gritty. 1978, that's when we were established. And I just talked to our CFO this morning, and we have 481 individual funds under management. And the market is crazy. And I know all of you probably most days choose to just not even look, but we actually have a little more than $50 million in assets that we are stewarding. And that is what allows us to make the scholarships and grants annually, as well as the challenge match and some other initiatives that we have brought online. And so here's the details from 2019. And I would encourage you, if you haven't received our annual report, there's also a digital version that you can find on our website. And this is some of the information that you'll find there. But last year, the challenge match, we worked with 47 organizations. And with this program, the partnership of fundraising at the organizational level unlocks the match that the foundation makes available. So there was over $1.5 million raised throughout this community to benefit many, many wonderful organizations that are doing great service in our community. We awarded nearly $2.3 million in grants and distributions and scholarships throughout the year. And we had a really great year. We saw a little over $7 million in gifts given to the foundation to continue the work that we do. I'm just gonna jump here. So the other piece, what are we doing today? So this year has been very interesting. I joined the team towards the end of December, but I really started my work about January 2nd. And it was mid-March that we saw a real big shift and a shutdown across our community. Community foundations across the state, actually nationwide, we're looking at how we respond to the extreme need that we immediately saw. And so we participated in ways that the best ways we could. And first out of the gate, we did crisis response grants. So we were able to gift through grants about $17,000 in grants to really tackle those immediate needs. did somebody need to really ramp up their programming because they saw a whole lot more need and clients coming through their door? Some were cleaning supplies very early when it was hard to come by and they were fairly expensive. We were able to help with that. The YMCA, they provided some emergency frontline childcare. We were able to help support some of that in a very quick way so that they could continue the work that they were doing. Another piece of our response was the Wayne County Cares Fund had a very generous donor who came to me and just wanted to do something. And we also recognized that there were others in the community that felt they wanted to do something. And oftentimes it's really hard in the near term to know how to make that happen. So we opened up the Wayne County Cares Fund, and that was very specifically to benefit down to the individual level. And we also recognize this is not a short-term issue. It's really much more long-term. Rent assistance, utilities. Do you have all of your needs being met? Some of those cleaning and many of the products that you cannot use SNAP benefits to cover. So we partnered with the township trustees, there are 15 across Wayne County, to make funds available so that as individuals, and some of the reports that I have received is that there are a lot of first-time clients coming to seek trustee funds. We can give the trustee offices a little more flexibility, and they can use the grant monies that we can provide to serve folks who traditionally haven't met the threshold, income thresholds. It gives them a little wider, a broader ability to serve some folks that haven't sought funds in the past. And then our most recent, we're offering now a loan program. So a lot of the funding that you're seeing coming out across from the state and even from the federal government are funds that are directed towards small businesses, which is fantastic, and that's awesome. And our community has done a really good job trying to pull together resources. Nonprofit organizations have not had the ability to access some of those dollars. So we were able to take some of our funds and use them as collateral for a loan program. And we're partnering with First Bank Richmond to make that available. And it's a low interest loan program really meant to cover a gap in funding due to lack of fundraising revenue or not. So it's not a great time to pull funds out of your investments. So if it makes more sense to get a low interest loan versus dipping into some of your invested assets, then that could be a good opportunity as well. So it's just another tool. We're just trying to make sure there are a lot of different resources available to our nonprofit community as we try to navigate and rework the direction that we're headed and really serve the broader community. Some other pieces, we continued our spring grant cycle and we awarded 56 grants this cycle, about $240,000 in field of interest and unrestricted grant making. And then scholarships, even though all of the honors and awards ceremonies looked a little bit different, we awarded about 312 scholarships. The potential value as all those get accepted is about $415,000 in scholarship dollars going back to students to seek further education. The challenge match, we're getting ready to release all the information, but it is happening again this year. There are no changes to the program at this time. The window will be I'm going to tell this to you. It's 9 days. So November 2nd through 9th. Did we say 9th or 10th? It's up into Veterans Day. So we are accepting all of the information and all the details until that date. More information's coming out. We're getting all the press materials and information for distribution to our organizations right now. So that's another, that piece is staying. And then the final thing is this community leadership piece. And this is one of the initiatives Lynn and I have been up to our elbows, maybe necks in, but really working on Forward Wayne County, which is a backbone organization that brings together coalitions around 3 areas, and they're the 3 areas that are in orange at the bottom: early childhood success, educational attainment and employability, those kind of come together, and then neighborhood development. So through this work, the goal is to bring together organizations and individuals that are uniquely positioned because of their expertise or their organizational mission to tackle the big issues related to those areas of focus. Employability Coalition is moving forward, tackling becoming part of the 21st Century Talent Region, and now the state has just released some additional programs that are working towards upskilling folks who are currently employed, and also trying to get folks who have are out of work now back into the workforce by aligning them with either training or workforce development opportunities. There's a neighborhood development. You're seeing some work that the city is doing, specifically targeted at the Star District here in Richmond. And then early childhood, one of the really exciting pieces of work that's happening there is a new childcare facility that the YMCA in partnership with Sugar Creek will be opening here in the fall. And that really addresses a childcare need in Western Wayne. So those are some projects that are happening and some of the direction that we're headed. Very challenging and slow work, but it's some of the work that needs to be tackled if we are going to continue to increase the livability and viability of Wayne County. So that is my quick overview of this, I guess, the state of the foundation, and I welcome any questions, and I'm happy to try to answer whatever you all might have.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, I do. Rebecca, first of all, I'm with Backpack Blessing, which is under the Christian Charities organization. And I just want to thank you for everything you do, because we are recipients of your efforts. And I'm very pleased to hear that you're going to do it again this year, because we were short of funds for this fall semester. And for those of you who don't know about Backpack Blessing, we feed children at every grade school in Richmond, one Friday a month, with a take-home sandwich sack. So you're vital to us, and so I'm very pleased to see that you're going to continue on and hasn't been any interruption.
Yeah, but that is, my board really discussed how do we continue what we've done, but also recognize that there are some additional and changing needs that we hope honestly will be more short term, but the reality is that this is going to impact us for quite some time.
A question for you, Rebecca. How do you choose the organizations that are taking part in the challenge match?
Well, we have a committee that evaluates the applications of all the different organizations that apply. And there's a criteria, and they make a recommendation to our board which ones to accept based on that criteria. And honestly, I have not been through that process yet. I just know it on paper, so that's how I know it happens, but I haven't been through it myself.
They usually host an informational meeting for nonprofits or anyone interested in applying, and they go over the grant application and the matching criteria and things like that. They communicate it very well. I would just make sure you're on their newsletter list so that you can get that information, or keep an eye on their website and Facebook page so that you can, if you're a new organization, it's really helpful when you go to apply for it.
Yeah, and we're going to offer several sessions this go round. So they're a little bit smaller, and they're going to be via Zoom. So we have kind of a window that we'll offer those. That'll be a small change, but that's in an effort to try and really have a little better way of communicating, since we're not all going to be in the same room.
Rebecca, Steve Hayes here, Hayes Research Foundation, Hayes Arboretum. Wanted to compliment you on this year's annual report. It is the best I have seen. I was really impressed reading it. Some new information, very good human interest stories, and just exceptionally well done. So thank you very much, and to your staff as well.
Yeah, the credit goes to my team. They did a nice job pulling that together and making sure that it really told the stories of the work that happened last year. So I will be sure I share that, because it was their year. It was a great year for the foundation, and it's fun to share successes.
Thank you. Well, that's a nice picture of you, Lynn. Better of your wife.
Yeah, she's better looking.
Amen. I have a interesting question here. Our granddaughter goes to Duluth at the university there, and she tells us that there's been times now the last couple of years where the snow's been 4 foot deep in the driveway. How'd you happen to go to that snow-infested place?
What I know, I did not pick it for the weather. However, Duluth is gorgeous, and it turned out to be an amazing couple of years I spent up there. They have a very specific program that I was looking for in environmental education that allowed me to do a little bit of customizing. So it was just the program and the faculty and staff that really drew me to that area. And then Lake Superior region is beautiful. The snow is a little bit, the snow is not so bad. The cold is dreadful, but it was still a good experience.
I have a question. Is there a local fund, maybe through you or the chamber, that you can give to help local folks? That is, the gifts are deductible if you do not necessarily itemize. Does that sound familiar? Well,
gifts to the foundation, we're a 501c3, so you receive tax benefits for working gifts through us. It depends on how it's structured and the kind of gift that you're looking to give, but the flip side of that is all grants have to be given to an organization. So that's why we work through like the trustee offices or the Salvation Army. We work through another charitable organization in an effort to get funds down to the individual level. So
there was some type of, and maybe it was part of the COVID legislation.
Yeah.
That you could give a gift to help local people and concerns, that you could itemize the gift without without necessarily, well, you could deduct the gift if you don't itemize. Does that sound familiar?
There was a provision about, it's a $300. If you haven't historically itemized, there was an incentive to do that. And it really just depends on your tax situation, if that's going to be a benefit to you.
Okay.
One thing I had not figured out until a couple of years ago was that those of us who have untaxed retirement dollars can take that money directly, and that saves, of course, you can't both do that and itemize, but what that does is allow you to save Indiana tax, because that money is not only has never been federally taxed, but it also hasn't been state taxed. And if you give money directly to the foundation and specify the donees that you wish it to go to during the challenge match, you avoid whatever that percentage is. It's not as big as the federal, but it is significant.
Yes, we do offer some of those tax benefits because you're working with us, and we're a nonprofit organization. So yes, they suspended the required minimum distribution through the CARES Act, but that is common. Folks can avoid some of that tax liability by sending that distribution directly to the foundation, and we work with you to either use it for unrestricted grant making, or it can be designated to areas of interest.
And just to add a tidbit to that, Rebecca, and I know you know this, but you would talk with your financial advisor or whatever firm you have your retirement plan with. Even though they suspended the required minimum distribution, they did not stop what's called the qualified charitable distribution, which is what you're speaking about, Lynn.
Yes,
so
correct.
That qualified charitable distribution would basically be initiated from your financial institution, and then Rebecca would, or Teresa or one of them over there would provide the information that you need on the receiving end to show that it went basically essentially rolled over to the charitable organization, so that it's a non-tax reportable event basically.
And we provide all of that paperwork so that you have everything in order.
I am really thankful for the Wayne County Foundation. This is John Place. I love Special Olympics. I'm involved in it, and I was trying to figure out a way that when I pass away, how I could leave it in my will, so that a certain amount each year would be given to the Special Olympics organization. And it's a great organization, and you guys, I'm hoping to live at least another 25 years. I'm only 81. So
sounds great.
Yeah. And so I'm real pleased with this. And it's also a great way to leave money to our organization called Kiwanis. And I'm real thankful, because I was trying to figure out a way, because if I tried it the normal way, I didn't want one lump sum in 1 year to be given. That would not be good, the way Special Olympics operates out of Indiana. So I'm thankful for you guys and gals.
Thank you, John. That's a great example, and one of the benefits of a community foundation. We can live on in perpetuity under the guidance of the fund that's been established by a donor. So whether when the next executive director comes, they're still guided by the interest and request and the way that the donor set up that fund. So it ensures your wishes are met over time, regardless of who is here. And that's one of the really nice benefits of community foundations.
Yeah, amen.
Any other thoughts or questions from anyone? Well, we thank you very much, Rebecca. I found this to be fascinating and enlightening. I found out a lot of stuff I had no clue about. We really appreciate you doing this.
Well, I'm pleased to be invited. Thank you so much.
Well, there's another invite that I'm giving to you. And we would appreciate if you would consider becoming a member of our great organization. We do a lot of work in the community for kids, and we gave away 40,000 in our last current year. That's a lot.
That's fantastic.
And kids are at the heart of everything that we think of and do in our organization, why we raise a lot of funds for that. We're not raising quite as much this year because of the disease. So thank you so much. If nobody else has anything more, again, thank you. And looking forward to seeing you again. And we'll get a membership application over to you, okay?
We've
Sounds
already
great.
got a lunch scheduled for her to learn more about Kiwanis. She said she wanted to learn more, so we're working on a lunch schedule.
All
We
right.
just had to get that RHS class of 93 like so well represented. In
That's
here.
right. That's right.
That's
Thanks,
great.
everybody. You have a great weekend. We appreciate you coming on board.
Thank you.
How many were with us, Jennifer, today?
23.
23.
Mm-hmm.
I found some who said that they just don't like to do Zoom. So they'll be
Yeah.
back when we get off of Zoom.
We'll see you guys next week. Remember, we have our annual meeting at the end of next week at the end of the month.
All right,
Take
goodbye,
care.
everybody.
Thank you.